AI could 10x global GDP, and we know some of the value will flow into Bitcoin. So if GDP grows that much, does that massively increase Bitcoin's terminal value in your view?
In classical economics, they talk about the economy being driven by land, labor, and capital. The consequences of AI is digital intelligence, Bitcoin is digital capital. The consequences of the AI is that the AI is going to do the work of 1 billion people, then 10 billion people, then 100 billion people, then 1 trillion people. Then that AI will go into robots, and the robots will do the manual labor of 1 billion people, and then 10 billion people. And then it will go into your cars and your appliances and everything. And so what's happening? We're going to digitally transform labor, and the demand for labor as we know it is going to change, fall. The robots don't need as much space as we need, and the AIs don't need any space. So the demand for land as an input to the economy will fall by a factor of 10. The demand for labor as an input to the economy will fall by a factor of 100. What's left? Capital. Capital is going to explode. You know, you're going to have massively valuable companies that 1 million robots creating 1 million.
I gotta say, this is an area where I strongly disagree, because actually capital and the traditional economic framework he's using, capital includes goods that are useful for creating other goods. So money is actually a distinct class from that. Now, it's not to say that you couldn't make an argument that money is kind of like a meta capital. Like, we use money to make forms of capital, we use capital to make forms of goods. Like, okay, there's an argument to be made there, but just for point of clarification from the Austrian school, they would not classify money as capital. So he's great at speaking in metaphors and all these things, but like, just to be precise, I feel like.
Does it seem like, from your perspective, he's looking at Bitcoin as an asset more than a currency? I mean, he kind of literally said that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But I think he's also just simplifying things for the audience. It's easier to just say, speak in threes, rather than adding this other anomaly over here called money that's all confusing, and you can build whole podcasts around how confusing it is.
Right.
So, but I felt compelled to put that point of clarification there.
Robots with like 22 employees that are worth trillions of dollars, don't need the land, don't need the labor, have the money. Where's the capital going to flow? It's going to flow into the Bitcoin, right? I mean, if you create...
So yeah, he's using, I think, the term capital as like purchasing power. Like, where's all the
economic energy.
Economic energy. Where's all the value going to flow in this new paradigm, which I do agree with.
Yeah.
The more we automate away all of these drudgeries and we increase human productivity, all of that unlocked purchasing power, what he's calling capital or economic energy, will flow into sound money.
Yes. And those productivity gains that AI and robotics and all these things allow us are going to be reflected in increase in purchasing power into Bitcoin, because we're increasing all of this stuff here while we're not increasing this. So this thing's convertibility into all these goods or services is going to increase at a faster and faster rate.
That's exactly right. So again, it's waking up from the Keynesian hypnosis of prices need to go up. It's like, no, the purpose of markets is to drive prices down.
Yes.
Right? The price is a social appraisal of the cost necessary to solve a problem.
Yes.
We want to solve more problems better, faster, cheaper, and introduce things that solve problems we couldn't solve before, right?
Yeah.
Like flying from New York to London was a problem no one could solve for thousands of years until we invented the 747 or whatever airplane to do that. So yes, all of that additional problem solving potential, which we're calling purchasing power or capital or economic energy, flows into the hardest asset, which is Bitcoin.
And so as this plays out, do you think current governmental regimes and people that make all that up are going to be pushing for UBI? I mean, what are we going to do for the people that don't have Bitcoin while they're watching their jobs get taken away? Things are getting more expensive because we have this fiat monetary system that, as we're pushing prices down, they continue to need to debase at a faster rate to prop asset prices up, because the assets are collateralizing the debt.
Yeah, I mean, we really don't know, right?
Yeah.
You've got the collision of two titanic forces, which is the exponential productivity gains of technological advancement colliding with the exponential debasement of fiat currency that's trying to erode the real debt burden of its client, which is central government.
Yeah.
And how is that going to play out? Like, I think it exposes the bankruptcy of governments, and it also drives their revenues down. That's why I think, again, the sovereign individual, Bitcoin makes government local again, something like that. Government and politics stop being such a predominant feature of our lives and our identities. And I mean, talk about waking up from an illusion. Like the idea that we can pass laws or have popularity contests for people to tell us what to do and that's going to improve the world. That's the biggest fucking delusion of them all. And so I hope Bitcoin just awakens us from that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there.
But extreme wealth, right? There's going to be two types of people. There's going to be the people that bought the Bitcoin, and they're going to be privately wealthy, and they're going to live off of that, or something that is denominated in Bitcoin, right? And then there's going to be everybody that's getting wealth redistributed to them by political systems. There won't be a lack of stuff. There'll be infinite stuff. It'll be redistributed in a political economic process, which will be interesting. But the consequences of AI is that it's going to create massive amount of capital, and the capital that you're going to want is digital capital, because it's the best capital and it's the most useful capital. When the AI thinks 1,000,000 times a second and trades with another AI 1,000,000 times a second, they're going to trade with Bitcoin. They're going to trade with digital capital 1,000,000 and 1,000,000,000 times faster. They're definitely not swapping buildings. They're definitely not swapping gold bonds, bars, or coins. They're definitely not going to trust anybody else's sovereign credit. They're not going to trust private credit, public credit, sovereign debt. They're not going to use cash. They're going to use pure digital capital in cyberspace. So it's all...
I like this too as the new Turing test. You know, the old Turing test was at what point it was thought that if you could interact with an artificial intelligence and not be able to tell whether or not you're dealing with a human or not on the other side of the screen, that was the Turing test. And then if the AI passed that test, then it would be sentient AGI. Well, we already have that today. We have ChatGPT and just, all the LLMs that are basically that. It's hard to tell if you're dealing with a human or not. I actually like this idea as Bitcoin being the real Turing test, that if a sentient AI actually ever woke up, if it did anything other than stack sats, then it would be a retarded fucking AI. And like, if this thing is actually sentient and actually intelligent, then it would be accumulating sound money, obviously, to serve whatever ends it may have.
Yeah. And any of these AIs, if you have AIs that are working in the States versus some that are working in other jurisdictions, they have to use a non-sovereign instrument, because you have the corruption element, right?
Well, I mean, I think even to his point, he's like, they're going to be smart enough not to trust some counterparty that can debase them or issue more bonds or issue more fiat currencies. Like, why would I fucking take that risk? I'm an artificial intelligence. I'm smart. Let me use the money where I don't have to trust anyone. Right? That's what I'm saying. That would be an actual useful Turing test, I think.
That's interesting. I dig that.
Bullish for Bitcoin. And it's going to drive the price of Bitcoin up. And if you haven't figured out how to make money by putting AI into your business, that's hard. Then I give you the easy answer. You just buy the Bitcoin as much as you can buy, because we know where all the money is going to eventually go. The capital is all going to flow in the Bitcoin network, and the more everything else grows, the more Bitcoin is going to grow. So you could just go right there and then wait for the world to enrich you.
All right. Very, very bullish.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click here to find more just like it, and here to find our most recent episode. Also, make sure to like this video to help shine light on the corruption of money, and be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected.